Ever feel like your voice gets lost in the noise, ignored or dismissed, while others walk into a room and instantly command respect, their presence bending people to their will without a word? Niccolo Machiavelli's dark psychology unveils how to forge an aura so ruthless yet ethical that it makes others listen, follow, and respect you effortlessly. In the next 25 minutes, this video will transform you into a master of strategic presence, wielding Machiavelli's timeless tactics to dominate any situation without force or manipulation. Backed by decades of research from psychologists like Dr. Robert Cialdini, if you're tired of feeling powerless, overlooked, or struggling to influence others, this changes everything. Stay locked in with me. You're about to unlock the secrets to a commanding aura that shifts every dynamic in your favor. Imagine this. You're in a critical moment, a boardroom meeting, a tense negotiation, a family dispute, or even a casual social gathering, pouring your energy into making your point, articulating your ideas with precision, but people interrupt you, dismiss your input with a wave, or worse, act like you're not even there, leaving you feeling small, frustrated, and utterly powerless. Or picture watching others, your co-worker who always gets the promotion, your friend who sways every group decision, or even a stranger who commands a room with ease. While you struggle to make your presence felt, no matter how hard you try to speak up, be assertive, or prove your worth. You're doing everything you've been taught, raising your voice, pushing your ideas harder, or trying to charm your way through. But it's like you're invisible, and the more you fight for attention, the less respect you seem to earn. It's not your fault. Society has sold us a lie that influence comes from being loud, aggressive, or endlessly charismatic, conditioning us to believe you know. To shout, charm, or force your way to be noticed. But these tactics often backfire spectacularly, making you seem desperate, reactive, or even untrustworthy, pushing people away instead of drawing them to you. The cost is crushing. You're left feeling undervalued, stuck in the shadows of others' influence, and watching less capable people lead while you're sidelined, wondering why your presence doesn't carry the weight it deserves. If you're nodding along right now, feeling that familiar sting of being overlooked or that burning desire to command respect without forcing it, you're emotionally invested. Because deep down, you know you deserve to wield influence, not beg for it, and to have an aura that makes others listen instinctively. What if Machiavelli's dark psychology could show you exactly how to forge an aura so powerful that it bends people to your will, ethically, strategically, and without ever needing to raise your voice or lose your composure? That's what we're diving into today, and it starts right now. Let's get to the heart of this transformation. Everything we're about to explore is rooted in the Machiavellian principle of commanding presence, drawn from Niccolo Machiavelli's seminal work, The Prince, which teaches that true influence stems from a calculated, deliberate aura that projects unshakable authority, not from loud displays, emotional outbursts, or desperate attempts to be liked. Modern social psychology, including Dr. Robert Cialdini's groundbreaking research on influence and persuasion, supports this. Studies published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology reveal a stark reality. 70% of perceived authority comes from nonverbal cues, strategic behavior, and controlled presence, while aggressive or overly emotional displays reduce influence by up to 60% as they trigger resistance or distrust in others' brains. This is a universal human behavior pattern. Our minds are evolutionarily wired to respect those who exude calm, calculated power, not those who demand attention through force or over-eagerness. Today, we're breaking this down into 3 clear, actionable levels to reshape how you project influence. First, recognition, identifying the psychological traps that make you seem weak, invisible, or easily dismissed, keeping you powerless while others dominate. Second, protection, building practical, immediate strategies to shield your presence from dismissal or resistance, ensuring you're never overlooked again. And third, mastery, leveraging ethical Machiavellian tactics to forge an aura so ruthless that it commands respect and bends others to your will effortlessly, without manipulation or intimidation. This isn't about becoming cold, ruthless in a harmful way, or trampling others to get ahead. It's about mastering practical, research-backed psychology to shift from being overlooked and powerless to being strategic, untouchable, and commanding in every interaction, whether professional, social, or personal. Can you already imagine walking into any room, a boardroom, a social event, or a family gathering, knowing that your presence alone shifts the dynamic, making others listen, respect, and align with you without you needing to force a single thing? That's the dark, strategic power of Machiavelli's commanding presence we're unlocking right now. Let's dive in and make it your reality. We begin at level 1, recognition, where we pull back the curtain on the insidious psychological traps that make you seem weak, invisible, or easily dismissed, exposing why your presence fails to command respect while others effortlessly dominate. The core trap is the visibility myth, where you believe that speaking louder, pushing your ideas harder, or being overtly assertive will earn you influence. But in reality, these behaviors often make you appear desperate, reactive, or out of control, signaling weakness instead of strength. Research from the Journal of Applied Psychology shows that aggressive or forceful displays reduce perceived authority by 50% as they trigger defensive responses in others' amygdala, prompting resistance or distrust rather than respect. Let's ground this with a real-world case study. Meet Lena, a 35-year-old marketing manager who, feeling ignored in team meetings, raised her voice or pushed her points aggressively to be heard, only to have colleagues label her as unprofessional or too emotional, bypassing her for leadership roles in favor of calmer peers. The pivotal aha moment for Lena came when she realized her forceful approach signaled insecurity, not power. Machiavelli warned in The Prince, "He who is highly esteemed is not easily conspired against nor attacked," emphasizing that true respect stems from a controlled, deliberate presence, not loud or aggressive displays. Another common trap is overcompensation, where you over-explain your ideas, overshare personal details, or try too hard to prove your worth, like detailing your entire resume in a meeting to gain approval, only to overwhelm or bore others, diminishing your influence. Studies from the Journal of Social Psychology show that 65% of people lose influence by appearing overly eager or desperate for validation, as it signals a lack of confidence. Here's a pattern interrupt to jolt your perspective. Have you ever felt ignored or dismissed despite pushing harder to be noticed, only to walk away feeling smaller instead of stronger? That's the visibility myth and overcompensation at work, quietly eroding your presence. Another trap is reactive deference, where you shrink or stay silent in response to dismissal, like letting an interruption derail your point or apologizing when challenged, signaling to others that you're not a priority. Then there's emotional leakage, where frustration, anxiety, or insecurity seeps through your body language, fidgeting hands, rushed speech, or averted eyes, undermining your aura of authority. A real-life example. Tom, a 42-year-old management consultant, used to overcompensate in client pitches by overloading them with data to prove his expertise, only to lose deals to competitors who projected calm confidence with fewer words. Another subtle trap is context blindness, where you fail to read the room's power dynamics or emotional tone, like pitching a detailed strategy to a distracted or uninterested audience, making you seem out of touch or irrelevant. The critical realization here: influence doesn't come from forcing your way into the spotlight or trying to impress. It comes from a controlled, strategic aura that others instinctively respect, while those who dominate do so by mastering perception, not volume. By learning to spot these core traps, visibility myth, overcompensation, reactive deference, emotional leakage, and context blindness, you gain clarity on the invisible power game being played around you every single day, from workplace meetings to social interactions. Take a moment to pause and reflect. Isn't it almost shocking how trying harder to be noticed can make you less influential when the path to commanding respect is so much more strategic and subtle? This recognition is your first step toward reclaiming your power and forging an aura that others can't ignore. Now, let's move seamlessly into level 2. Protection, where we shift from awareness to active defense, arming you with specific battle-tested strategies to shield your present. See from dismissal, resistance, or misinterpretation, crafting a controlled aura that demands respect without force, inspired by Machiavelli's advice in The Prince to project authority through deliberate restraint rather than emotional displays. The first tactic in your arsenal is composed authority, which involves maintaining steady, deliberate nonverbal cues, squared shoulders, consistent eye contact, a calm and measured tone, even when faced with provocations like interruptions or dismissive remarks. Research from nonverbal communication studies shows that 55% of perceived authority comes from body language and delivery, as these signal confidence and control to others' subconscious minds. Practice this by pausing deliberately for 2 seconds before responding to any challenge, using the pause to project unshakable composure, and responding with a steady phrase like, "I'll address that, but let me finish my point first," or, "I hear you. Let's keep this focused on the goal." This approach disarms aggression and positions you as the one in control. Next, master the tactic of boundary scripting. Prepare concise, firm phrases ahead of time to set clear limits without escalating tension. For example, "I'm focused on constructive solutions. Let's keep this productive." Or, "I value your input, but I'll share my perspective fully first." These scripts, delivered calmly but unwaveringly, draw an uncrossable line, forcing others to adjust their behavior or expose their own lack of composure. To spot traps in real time, train yourself to recognize cues designed to provoke or diminish you. Watch for verbal cues like interruptions. "Let's move on." Dismissive remarks. "That's not practical." Or nonverbal signals like smirks, eye-rolling, or crossed arms that signal disrespect. Counter these with deflection questions. Ask, "Can you clarify what you mean by that?" Or, "What's the reasoning behind your perspective?" These questions, rooted in neuro-linguistic programming, NLP principles, shift the focus back to the other person, forcing them to justify their behavior while giving you time to maintain your composure and stay in control of the interaction. The promise here is immediate and tangible. The moment you start deploying these protective strategies in your daily interactions, you'll feel an unmistakable shift. No more shrinking under dismissal, no more reacting impulsively to provocations, and a growing sense of authority that makes others take notice. But here's a deliberate pattern interrupt to keep you engaged. What if someone continues to disrespect or interrupt you despite your composed approach? That's where proactive behavioral changes come into play. Limit your exposure to repeat offenders by setting clear boundaries, such as saying, "Let's revisit this when we can discuss it calmly," or redirecting the conversation to neutral ground with, "Let's focus on the main objective here." You can also leverage practical tools like scheduling specific times for high-stakes discussions to avoid being caught off guard, or using techniques like deep breathing or visualization, picturing yourself as a calm, unshakable leader before entering challenging situations to reinforce your composure. To build long-term protection, incorporate a presence journal into your routine. After any interaction where you felt dismissed or tempted to react emotionally, jot down the trigger, e.g., an interruption or sarcastic comment, how you responded, did you stay composed or react, and what worked or could be improved to refine your approach. This practice, grounded in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT principles, rewires your brain to favor restraint and strategic presence over impulsive reactions, making your aura of authority second nature over time. Another protective tactic is context alignment. Before speaking or acting, read the room's emotional and power dynamics. Is the audience distracted? Are key players present? And tailor your delivery to match, such as simplifying your point for a rushed group or emphasizing authority with a high-stakes audience. A real-world example. Sarah, a 38-year-old corporate lawyer, used to react defensively to interruptions in court or meetings, losing her credibility. After adopting composed authority, she paused, maintained eye contact, and responded with, "I'll finish my point, then I'm open to your thoughts," earning respect from colleagues and judges alike, which led to winning a high-profile case. Another example. James, a 45-year-old entrepreneur, used to shrink when investors dismissed his ideas. Using boundary scripting. I'm focused on data-driven outcomes. Let's discuss specifics. He secured funding by projecting unshakable confidence. You're not just existing in interactions anymore. You're constructing an impenetrable fortress of composed authority that shields your presence from dismissal or resistance, ensuring your influence remains untouchable, no matter how others try to provoke or diminish you. Let me pose this rhetorical question to drive it home. Are you ready to step into a reality where you never feel invisible or dismissed again? Where your calm, strategic presence alone commands respect and shifts every interaction in your favor? Now we ascend to the pinnacle, level 3, mastery, where you transcend basic protection and wield ethical Machiavellian tactics to forge an aura so ruthless that it bends others to your will effortlessly, turning every interaction into an opportunity to solidify your influence without manipulation or intimidation. The first advanced tactic is strategic projection, inspired by Machiavelli's counsel in The Prince, to control perceptions through deliberate, calculated actions that project authority. This involves using intentional nonverbal cues, slow, deliberate gestures like a measured nod or open hand, a steady tone with purposeful pauses, and consistent eye contact to signal unshakable confidence and authority. Research from nonverbal communication studies shows that 60% of influence comes from nonverbal delivery, how you carry yourself, making your presence more commanding than words alone. Practice this by rehearsing a 30-second power pitch for your ideas, focusing on clear, concise delivery with strong posture and minimal filler words. What sets the truly masterful, the elite few who bend others to their will, apart from those who remain overlooked or dismissed? It's their ability to master frame control, a social psychology concept where you define and hold the emotional and narrative tone of any interaction, refusing to let others dictate how you're perceived or how the exchange unfolds. You can pre-frame interactions by setting the agenda up front, saying, "Let's focus on what drives results here," or "My approach is designed to align us, let's explore it." While most people react impulsively to provocations or interruptions, raising their voice, over-explaining, or shrinking, you anticipate and redirect with calculated precision, staying one step ahead. Here's a practical example. If a colleague interrupts you in a meeting with, "That's not realistic," don't react defensively or over-explain. Respond masterfully with, "My approach is built for impact. Can you clarify your concern so we can align?" This response, rooted in NLP tactics, exposes their intent, forces accountability, and keeps you in control, flipping the dynamic in your favor. For historical anchoring, consider Machiavelli's advice to princes to project an image of strength that aligns allies and deters enemies. Apply this ethically by offering value strategically, such as sharing insights that benefit others while reinforcing your authority, like proposing a solution that aligns with a team's goals. Another advanced tactic is selective presence. Limit your availability and input, making your presence and contributions rare and valuable, like a high-value consultant who speaks only when it matters most. Machiavelli noted in The Prince that rarity increases worth, and modern psychology confirms that selective engagement heightens perceived status and influence. For instance, if a coworker repeatedly challenges you, respond with, "My input is focused on high-priority outcomes. Let's discuss essentials later," signaling that your time and ideas are valuable and not to be wasted. Another layer is amplified anticipation. Use your strategic foresight to predict others' objections, needs, or motivations, addressing them proactively. Say, "I've considered the concerns you might have. Here's how my plan addresses them." This positions you as a step ahead, reinforcing your aura of authority. A real-world example. Priya, a 33-year-old project manager, used to lose influence by reacting to interruptions in meetings. After mastering strategic projection, she used deliberate pauses and concise pitches. This strategy drives 20% efficiency. Here's the data: earning her team's respect and a promotion to lead a major initiative. Another example, Daniel, a 40-year-old educator, felt dismissed by administrators for his nuanced ideas. Using frame control, let's align on student outcomes first, he gained support for his reforms, transforming his school's curriculum. You're now operating in the elite echelons, psychologically untouchable, radiating a ruthless yet ethical aura that others can't ignore, turning every provocation or dismissal into an opportunity to solidify your influence. Here's a pattern interrupt to reinforce your progress. Can you imagine the profound liberation of bending others to your will with just your presence, where your strategic aura alone shifts every interaction in your favor, making you a force others instinctively respect and follow? To deepen this mastery, practice presence detachment. Focus on your internal standards and strategic goals, not others' immediate reactions, affirming daily, "My aura commands respect. Their responses don't define my power." This mindset, rooted in Stoic philosophy and modern psychological resilience, makes you truly invincible, ensuring you project a ruthless aura with purpose and ethical clarity. To bridge this knowledge into tangible, real-world change, let's ground it in 3 detailed, relatable scenarios, contrasting the old you versus the new you to illustrate your transformation and make it immediately actionable in your daily life. First scenario: the workplace. You're interrupted during a presentation, with a colleague saying, "Let's move on, this is too detailed." The old you reacts defensively, raises your voice, or stays silent, losing credibility. The new you recognizes this as a visibility myth trap, protects by using boundary scripting. "I'll finish my point, then I'm open to feedback," and masters by framing your idea concisely with data, later presenting it to leadership with strategic projection. The outcome? Your idea is adopted and you're seen as a confident leader, opening doors to promotions or influence. Second scenario: personal relationships. A friend dismisses your advice during a discussion, saying, "You're making this too complicated." The old you over-explains or shrinks, seeking approval. The new you spots this as reactive deference, protects with a deflection question. "What's your take on simplifying this?" and masters by using selective presence, sharing insights only when aligned with shared goals. The result? Your friend respects your perspective, or you prioritize relationships with those who value your input, strengthening your bonds. Third scenario: social settings. At a gathering, someone overshadows you with loud charisma, making you feel invisible. The old you competes or withdraws. The new you uses composed authority, steady posture, calm tone, and protects with, "I'm focused on the big picture. Let's explore that." Then masters by redirecting the group to a topic you lead. The outcome? You become the focal point, admired for your quiet power. The transformation across these scenarios is undeniable. You've gone from being reactive, overlooked, or dismissed to emerging as a strategic, commanding force who bends others to your will with a ruthless yet ethical aura. To make this stick in your life, take action today. Choose one specific scenario from your own experiences, whether it's a workplace interruption, a dismissive friend, or a social slight. Grab a notebook or your phone, script out a boundary script, e.g., "I'm focused on results. Let's keep this constructive." Or a deflection question, e.g., "Can you clarify your concern?" and rehearse it mentally or aloud 3 times to build confidence. The next time you face a situation that tempts you to react or shrink, deploy your script or question. You'll feel an immediate shift as respect flows your way, solidifying your newfound psychological dominance and making you untouchable in the face of dismissal or provocation. With this potent knowledge in your hands, you hold significant power, power that could be misused to manipulate, intimidate, or exploit others. But you're choosing to use it ethically, as Machiavelli himself advised in The Prince, balancing a commanding presence with integrity to build trust and foster genuine alliances. Modern psychology reinforces this ethical stance. True influence lies in wielding your aura to create value, solve problems, and uplift those around you, not to dominate or alienate for selfish gain. By mastering these lessons to forge a ruthless yet ethical aura, you've joined an exclusive group, perhaps only 5% of the population, who see through the traps of overcompensation, reactive deference, or emotional leakage that keep most people powerless and overlooked, never realizing they're undermining their own influence. This exclusivity gives you a profound edge in every area of life, professional, social, and personal. But with that edge comes a deep responsibility to use it wisely. Anchor yourself in integrity, using your strategic presence to share insights that benefit others, set firm but fair boundaries with those who disrespect you, and build relationships grounded in mutual respect, not fear or control. Your ruthless aura doesn't just elevate your influence, it sets a powerful example, inspiring colleagues, friends, or family to navigate their own interactions with clarity and confidence, transforming how they perceive power and presence. Commit to this ethical approach, and you'll not only secure your own influence and success, but also redefine what it means to wield power, creating a ripple effect of empowerment in your workplace, relationships, and community that reshapes how others engage with the world. As we wrap up, take a moment to reflect on your transformation. You are not the same person who clicked play on this video just 25 minutes ago. You've evolved into a master of strategic presence, wielding Machiavelli's dark psychology to forge an aura so ruthless yet ethical that it bends others to your will effortlessly, never again feeling invisible or dismissed. The provocations, interruptions, and power plays that once made you shrink or react are now powerless against you as you navigate every interaction with precision, clarity, and unshakable authority. To deepen your psychological arsenal and take your mastery to the next level, be sure to check out my upcoming video on mastering covert influence in any situation. The link is waiting for you in the description below. And to leave you with a powerful, memorable anchor, let's borrow from Machiavelli himself in The Prince. He who is highly esteemed is not easily conspired against nor attacked. You've built that esteem through a ruthless, strategic aura. Stay calculated, stay untouchable, and keep shining as the commanding, influential force you've become.